Well, hello and welcome everyone. Troy Harris here for our next module, which is winning narratives. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see my screen. That's the main thing. If you are live here joining us today, please let me know by jumping into the chat right now, and yeah, just let me know that you can see and hear me, which is obviously the main thing. Um, okay, fantastic. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Brian. Hey, Debbie. Thank you very much. Hey, Gavin. Hi, Mike and Maureen. Hey, Marianne. Hello, Dominic and Laurie, Johan, Alan and Bronwyn, Leonora, Margaret. Hi, Aaron. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hi, Eva. Hello to you as well, Roger. Hello from beautiful Harvey Bay as well, Dougal and Billy. Always jealous when you say that. Um, yes, and thank you all for joining us. Now, if you are watching this recording, that's okay as well. We have recorded all of these modules through a live scenario, which means that we're recording this live with a bunch of students that are here with us, which is fantastic because having the bunch of students with me, there's always additional awesome questions that they ask, which sometimes you may forget to cover. So, my so what I would like to say is that if all of you could please put as many questions as you can in the chat, and I will absolutely answer them either as I'm going along or more than likely at the end of this module. Okay, so thank you all for joining me live, whoever is, and as I said, if you are watching from via the recording, that's okay as well. If you do have any questions from this module, as always, all you need to do is just send an email to our amazing support team, which is support@fastlaunchdigital.com. That email address again is support@fastlaunchdigital, all one word, .com. Okay. So thank you very much. Yes, yes, thank you, Jeff. My voice is a bit croaky. I've got a little kitty cold, I think. I might have picked that up. But yeah, that's all that is. Hello as well, Oscar. Thank you, Simone. I appreciate it. Hello as well, Debbie. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining. And as I said, please keep the questions coming in the chat because it's always great to cover those things. So what we have today is the module winning narratives. Now, this is a flow on from our last module around the cycles, right? Around the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin. Now, this will build on what we've already done. Now, as if you are watching this as a recording, you'll be going through these modules. A lot of the time, people go through the modules one after one, which is fantastic. And I often say to people, that's obviously always a good way to do it because that way you have a really nice flow-on effect. Okay. Now, you'll notice throughout this, especially for all the newbies. Okay. Now, once again, I'll remind everyone this is a course and a program that is very much aimed specifically at beginners. But saying that, like I said, there is always things that potentially people in their intermediate stages may get out of this in crypto. But a lot of this stuff, guys, obviously we are focusing on from a beginner standpoint because this is what it's about. It's about going from a Bitcoin beginner to financial freedom. So you'll notice as we go through these, you'll notice that these are not actually the things that create freedom and your dream life by design, right? These things that we talk about that I'm sharing in this 5-step pentagon, they're not actually it. But what they are the building blocks to put together so you can eventually get to that point, right? So you can eventually get to that point of creating freedom in your dream life by design. Now, sometimes when what we want and what we need at this specific point in time are two completely different things. So I like to always remind people of that because it's very important to remember this because often people just want to rush and get ahead and not do the right training or whatever it may be, and that always 9.5 times out of 10 will always lead to heartbreak, whether it's from a financial stance or something else, right? Because you've just jumped in 2 feet first. So I would highly recommend, if you are a brand new beginner to the Bitcoin and crypto space, and I highly recommend for you to watch all the modules first. So let's talk about narratives, right? This is number 2 on our crypto Pentagon journey here, right? So let's talk about narratives. All right. Now, what exactly are narratives? Well, in cryptocurrency, a narrative is a story or an idea that's trending and influences how people see the value of different cryptocurrencies, right? These narratives can create major mass movements in the markets, sometimes extremely quickly, sometimes slower, but they are typically based on recent developments and flaring blockchain activity in a particular niche. For example, we're kind of going through at the moment a real kind of push with Solana around the meme coins and things like that. But we've also got some other areas that have been really booming as well. We've got some other blockchain areas, lesser known blockchains around like Tron and these other, I guess you would call them more speculative areas, okay, which kind of make them an area that you can potentially exploit. Now, by exploiting them, also remember that it can potentially exploit you and your wallet as well. Okay, that is what can essentially happen as well. So we need to be aware around these narratives. And what I often say, and we're going to touch on this very soon, what I often say is, try and hone in, on a couple of them. It's impossible to be an expert of everything. The old saying, jack of all trades and master of none. That's very much a true thing when it comes to this. So when we're talking about narratives, I'm going to share my personal top 9 narratives of this upcoming bull market and where I see things going. But these are examples, okay? These are examples, and I'm gonna hopefully be able to put all this together and give it on a platform that you guys can build from and learn from. Now, narratives drive the price the most. Now, this is super important to know. Now, we've got a picture here of some people, at a family barbecue or whatever that may be, and let me know in the chat right now, guys, how many times have you heard, your Uncle Jim talk about a particular investment? Oh, you need to get into this, or maybe it's your brother or your sister. It could be a good friend, and we're kind of influenced quite often by people that may not know or understand the space the best, right? So that's what can often happen, okay? Now, we need to know and understand that if the tech is inferior, then it has no use case, right? It's super important to know that, because if the tech is inferior, then it quite simply just doesn't have any use case. So it's important to understand that before you kind of jump 2 feet first into these different things, because as I said before, if it has an inferior nature to it, then it's not going to matter in the long term whether that thing is going to go up or down or sideways or whatever. It has no use case, and it's going to have no long-term value. Okay, it's a short-term relationship, not a long-term marriage. Okay, that's something to kind of look in as well. If you want to go and just make try and have a flash in the pan and make much money as possible in the shortest amount of time as possible, then obviously you can choose much more riskier narratives, and you can choose narratives that could potentially lead you down a not so very smooth path, right? So it's important to know, and it's important to understand that if we are going to go into a narrative, I really suggest that people become an expert at that narrative. And the other saying I say to people is that, and this is probably a saying that you've all heard before, is, stay in your own lane, right? Stay in a lane that you're confident, you're comfortable with. You may find at the moment there's no narratives you really connect with, but over time that can change, right? Remember, it's for one bull run only. Remember that where we are right now, we're at the kind of at the foot of the mountain. So you don't need to be, 100,000% married to these particular narratives, because a lot of the time we can be in a particular narrative for one cycle and then move out of that and go into another narrative of the next cycle. Now, I made this mistake, especially in the first cycle that I was in. Okay, now Bitcoin's obviously the exception, as it's just a buy and hold long term, right? Bitcoin has a lot of amazing use cases, including freedom and being able to ensure that people can transact on a platform that's not connected to any centralized government, corporation, or anything else. But most importantly, right, from a wealth point of view, Bitcoin is the best, in my opinion, the best long-term saving that you can have, right? Now, if there is lots of people that are hyped and excited about a particular narrative, then that may be all it takes for a potential small bet on it to see if it's going to shoot up in value. But at the same time, we need to know and understand whether that narrative's already run its course. Okay, so there are a couple of things that we need to weigh up. But what I'll always suggest, and I talked to you guys about this in module 3, when I spoke and kind of gave you all. So if you haven't watched module 3 yet, feel free to watch it. It was the module where we kind of jumped ahead, and everyone was interested in what my top 10 crypto picks are. So I shared them with everyone. And you'll notice that I did 40% Bitcoin, 40% high market cap coins, and 20% low market cap coins, right? And that's because that, as I said, that's part of my, what I like to call winning portfolio. Now, people getting on a particular coin because they think it's going to go up, that demand quite often will push the price up. And it becomes kind of like what I like to say, a self-fulfilling prophecy until the music stops. So basically, until whoever it is that's left with that bag of coins, that it's shot all the way up. But what goes up quite often, especially for a lower market cap coin, must come down. Okay, so we need to understand a couple of points here, and when I cover these narratives, you'll probably this will make more sense. But we need to understand, is it what people are excited about? Is it what people are talking about? It influences what others will buy, right? So, for example, if the narrative is around AI coins or artificial intelligence coins, right, then that's where the money is going to flow. And there's several narratives in this particular bull market coming up, and I'm going to be sharing them with you on this webinar that I believe that if you have some coins in and around these narratives, could be narratives that potentially could be an extremely good use case for people, an extremely good investment, all right, for people as well. So let's talk about some examples, all right? Let's talk about some examples of popular narratives, all right? Now, just to be clear, as it says down the bottom, popular narratives change. As I said before, they change from cycle to cycle, and they can also change within a cycle, right? So it's not always so clear cut, shall we say, right? Narratives can change from cycle to cycle, and they can also change within a cycle. I mean, the advantage that you guys have of purchasing this program and being part of it is that I guess not only do you know what my top 10 coins are for my winning portfolio, but you also are now going to know about my kind of top narratives for this cycle. So number one is a no-brainer. It's a store of value. What has a store of value? What holds its value over time? Okay. Now, Bitcoin is a perfect example of this. It's a perfect example. It has a store of value. It is, in my opinion, the best long-term savings account that you can have in any asset, and I'm including gold, silver, and real estate in that as well, right? So store of value is a no-brainer. Now, number two is gaming. Now, once again, if you refer back to module 3, you'll notice that 2 or 3 of my coins from my top 10 picks are actually gaming coins. Okay. Now, it's important to know and understand that even though you're not, you may not be a gamer yourself, maybe you don't play video games. And I've said this a few times before, but I'm going to say it again. The market doesn't care about your feelings. The market doesn't care that you think that video games are silly. The market doesn't care, right? What the market cares about is where the money's going. And you've got to be aware of that and be open-minded about that. And that's something that I try to really hone in on people, because often there's a narrative that I might share or might say is quite a good one, and some people are like, oh no, I'm not into video games. Oh, it's, okay, hang on a second. So have you got some Tesla stock? Oh yeah, I've got Tesla stock. Okay, cool. Have you got a Tesla? Oh no, I don't. Okay, it's kind of like the same common sense pattern, in my opinion. It's just that just because you may not own a Tesla or believe in it, if you think the stocks are going to go up, and if you think that the product is going to get more popular, well then obviously it's something that you're going to look at potentially getting into. Okay, so you need to. What I'm going to say when I'm sharing these narratives, please look at them, view them, study them with an open mind. Okay. So the next one's another no-brainer, in my opinion, when I talk about AI, artificial intelligence, right? So artificial intelligence is a huge narrative, has been for a few years now, but it's really, really creeping into the crypto space now. And there's a lot of different AI coins that are around this particular narrative. And once again, I'll be showing people how to be able to view and understand where they can find these different type of coins. The next one's called DePIN, which essentially is decentralized infrastructure. Okay, what that stands for is the decentralized nature of the infrastructure of blockchain technology. All right, now this particular one is a little bit of a dark horse, in my opinion, in this particular cycle. But I like dark horses because quite often the dark horses end up coming through and end up being, a good investment. Now, obviously, I can't guarantee that that's going to be the case with decentralized infrastructure coins, but I feel this particular one has the ability to shoot up in value around these type of coins. Now, the next ones I'm going to share with you are layer 1 and layer 2 coins. All right. So let me share a little bit about what a layer 1 and a layer 2 is. So a layer 1 coin, now just to be clear, and some of the people who are intermediate or advanced on here may be questioning what I say when I say this, because some people believe there's a layer 0, which is kind of like the bottom layer where these layers lie on top of. But in my opinion, the best way to look at this is Ethereum, for example, is a layer 1 coin, right? So it's a layer 1 coin, as in there's lots of different coins that can be purchased from the Ethereum blockchain, right? Now, obviously, a lot of those coins have now been copied, and they're on the Polygon blockchain and many other different blockchains, but ultimately they are layer 2 coins that sit on top of the Ethereum blockchain. Okay, so a layer 1 is essentially like the technology, or the in Ethereum's case, you could essentially kind of say the internet of crypto. And then layer 2's coins, you could kind of look at them as kind of like all the different apps, the different applications that sit on top of the layer 1 coin, right? So Ethereum and the layer 2 coins that sit on top of it are probably the best example that I can give of layer 1 and layer 2. Okay, now there's other examples of this, but I want to keep things as simple as possible. Now, layer 2 sitting on top of Ethereum, you can have things like Arbitrum, like Optimism, like Polygon, like I mentioned before. These are all layer 2 technologies that are sitting on top of Ethereum and are allowing Ethereum to run quicker, cheaper, faster, right? So they're kind of like, as I said, applications that are sitting on top of the internet of crypto, which in my opinion is essentially Ethereum. Now, the next one is meme, okay? MEME. These are known as meme coins. Now, meme coins are a genre of cryptocurrency that is loosely defined by, an exuberant kind of online community supporting the particular currency's growth, right? So sometimes they can be identified with something really simple, like an animated character or a potential animal image. I mean, probably one of the most popular meme coins that are out there in the cryptocurrency space is Dogecoin, right? Now, Dogecoin began, I think it was in and around 2013, and Dogecoin is literally just a copy of Bitcoin. That's all it is. It's literally just an actual copy of Bitcoin, right? And Dogecoin essentially started as a joke, right? It was just a joke. It was actually a teenager in Australia created it as a joke, and then all of a sudden, it ended up gaining more and more and more popularity. And now it's literally sitting in the top 10 of crypto market cap coins, which is, in my opinion, incredible considering where it started, which was, as I said, literally it just started as a joke. Okay, so meme coins though have a place in the cryptocurrency market. In my opinion, meme coins can potentially get quite risky, and they can potentially not always be the best kind of investments to potentially be in. But I like to always say that I never close my door to anything. If I see there's potential value in there, I will be looking into it, and I'll be looking to purchase it. So Aaron's asked in the chat, said, Troy's, are meme coins more of a gamble? So it's not that they're more of a gamble all of the time, Aaron, but I've found in the vast majority of the time, a lot of the time, meme coins are pushed by, as I said before, a loosely defined and exuberant online community that are just there to build the cryptocurrency's growth, right? So if it's cat coin, or it might be raccoon coin, or something silly, right? I'm just making up random animals here, but that's kind of like what we're talking about here. So quite often, 9 times out of 10, meme coins, you will find, if you are going to purchase one, you will find that they will be in um higher risk, your 20% area of your winning portfolio. Now, the next narrative is the tokenization of real world assets. Now, this, in my opinion, is going to be absolutely huge. It already is growing at an incredible rate of knots. And this is the overall ecosystem of the tokenization of everything that we own in the physical world. So there's many smart people. I'm not saying I include myself in that bunch of people, but this is what I believe as well. That believe that blockchain technology, considering blockchain technology is free of any outside central influence, and if you use Bitcoin as an example, completely decentralized blockchain. You know, um, it has the ability to be able to tokenize every real world asset that there is, right? So real estate, for example, the house you live in would be tokenized. And then, in the future, what you will probably have, as opposed to paying a solicitor fee or a conveyancer fee, you would literally, your house, when you sell it, it would be transferred on the blockchain, right? And this is a narrative that I feel is an absolute no-brainer. I feel the narrative of tokenization is an absolute no-brainer, kind of right up there with store of value. It's really is a no-brainer area when it comes to real world assets, because real world assets are things that we can hold, things that we can have, right? So the tokenization of them is a no-brainer in my opinion. Aaron has said, thanks for the clarification on meme coins. I really have never been able to find a use case to buy one. So Aaron, you're not the only one, mate. There's plenty of people that look at meme coins and go, why would I buy this? There's no use case. A lot of people think the same way. So, I would probably say at this stage, Aaron, which we're going to talk about in a second, stick to the narratives that are, become an expert in a couple of narratives that you're strong on, right? Meme coins, in my opinion, are not one of my narratives. I've just shared what my narratives are: store of value, gaming, AI, tokenization of real world assets. They're probably my top four. But these other ones are still just as relevant, as is decentralized finance, which I just shared just then. Now, for those who don't know, decentralized finance is literally the decentralization of the financial world. Now we're very early in the piece of this particular situation, but it's something that more and more people are getting involved in and getting made aware of, because, well, quite simply, people are getting absolutely sick of getting ripped off by their centralized bank, whoever that may be, right? So decentralized finance is an absolutely, in my opinion, going to be a popular narrative again in this upcoming bull market. So these 9 narratives on the screen, guys, so either feel free to write them down or take a picture or a screenshot, whatever. But these 9 narratives, they are all in the book as well. These 9 narratives, in my opinion, are not just narratives that I believe can be extremely successful this cycle, but are also narratives that I believe have real long-term value, that they could still keep growing. People go, "Oh, wow, Troy, even meme coins." And I say, yeah, I was one that was super, super skeptical of meme coins at first, but I've come to realize there's an actual space in this ecosystem for them. So I think it's always, as I said, you should never close your mind off to anything. Awesome, Jeff. Fantastic. Aaron, if you haven't got the book yet, I got told off my team that the majority of them were all sent kind of a week or so ago. So, Aaron, please send an email to support@fastlaunchdigital.com. So, support@fastlaunchdigital, all one word.com. And just ask where the book is at. Because yeah, my understanding from my team was that that it would or should have arrived by now. I've got a few people saying here, okay, it arrived at Harvey Bay today for Dougal and Billy. Maureen said I haven't got mine yet either. So yeah, so anyone that hasn't yet arrived, guys, please send an email to support@fastlaunchdigital.com. All right. So once again, that email address is support@fastlaunchdigital.com, and they'll be able to track down your book and find out where it is. Okay. So Debbie's asked a great question. How do we find out what blockchain to use for which coins? And that's a great question, Debbie. And that's something we are going to go a little bit further down the track. But thank you for the great question. There's different coins that you can buy on different blockchains. In regards to my winning portfolio, Debbie, which is the main thing and the big thing that I teach from the Crypto New Rich program, it's essentially the coins that you purchase in the winning portfolio is those blockchains. So, for example, when I say buy Bitcoin, it's buying Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain. It's not buying wrapped Bitcoin on the Ethereum network. When I say Ethereum, it's buying Ethereum on the Ethereum main chain. It's not buying wrapped Ethereum on the Polygon network, right? So essentially what it is it's buying the actual coin, not the potential layer 2 version of that coin. All right. So that's essentially what I'm talking about when I say to purchase a coin, purchase it on the actual blockchain of that particular coin. So let me just check here. Jeff says checking your email for one from accounts to confirm your address. Yeah. So for everyone that's on here live now, obviously for people who are listening to the recording, and if you still haven't received your book yet, obviously if you just ordered it yesterday, please don't email them, but give them a bit of time to send it. But I've just put in the email address there for you guys. Support. Oops, sorry, that is the wrong email address. I'm so used to writing our old email address. The support@fastlaunchdigital.com. Okay, so support@fastlaunchdigital.com. That is the one that you want to be emailing. Okay, so that's the email address. If you have not received your book yet, send them an email. They'll find out what's going on, where it's at. Okay, but as a fair few people said here, they only started getting them today or in the last few days. So I'm sure it will be very, very soon. Okay, so they are my top 9 narratives of this cycle. Now, this next thing I want to share is what I call the triangulation technique, right? The triangulation technique for choosing winning narratives, right? Now, I just want to plant a seed here because I can see a common problem in our industry. Now, I know it because I lived it for many years as well, right? I lived it for many years where we would see, a particular let's say influencer in the space or someone that you thought was trusted or could be respected or whatever it may be, and they've they're pushing a particular coin quite simply just because they own that coin, and they own a substantial amount of that coin. So they're trying to get people to get on that coin to push the value up, right? So it's super important to know and realize that that is absolutely possible and can happen, and has happened so many times, right? It has happened so many times in regards to people pushing a particular coin, and then all of a sudden they dump that coin, and that coin has gone from shooting up in value to the next minute being completely dumped in price, and that's when we say you kind of get caught holding the bag, right? That's what we say when we say that technique. So what we want to do is, number one, we want to start finding respected authorities within this topic, within this subject, right? Now, obviously, as I said, and I've mentioned before, I'd like to think that what we do here and what we have here with Crypto New Rich is a respected authority. And we could be talking about narrative A, B, and C, and then respected authority 2 could be talking about narrative A, narrative D, and narrative E, whatever that may be. Respected authority 3 is talking about narrative A, narrative F, and narrative G. Well, what is the triangulation technique for choosing the winning narrative? Well, all 3 of these were talking about a bunch of different narratives, but there was one common theme that was linking all those together, narrative A, right? Now, to look at this completely blunt, you could say that, well, what is narrative A, Troy? Well, narrative A, in my opinion, is, holding a coin that has a store of value, which is Bitcoin, right? Narrative A is store of value, if you look at it in this perspective, and in my opinion is the most no-brainer narrative that there is, okay? But obviously, as I shared with you before, there are a bunch of other narratives as well, right? Like I shared, and I'll bring them back up here. There's a bunch of other narratives that I'm personally bullish on, including gaming, artificial intelligence, the tokenization of real world assets, right? Not that I'm not most bullish on meme coins, decentralized infrastructure, layer 1, layer 2, and decentralized finance, but they're probably my personal top 4 that I like. But these are just examples of different narratives of what I like to say the top 9. But number 1, in my opinion, is the no-brainer, which is what is something that has a store of value? Because if it has a store of value, it's going to bring you long-term wealth, right? It's inevitable. And that's exactly what Bitcoin is. And that is why in my winning portfolio, guys, on my winning portfolio, I have Bitcoin as 40% of that winning portfolio. Please put just for people who are live here, please just put a yes in the chat if that's all making sense. Yeah, please just put a yes in the chat so I know what I'm talking about is making sense. Okay, awesome. All right, plenty of yeses, fantastic. All right, so like I said, and you guys can go back and watch this recording whenever. But if you want to use this example, narrative A is a perfect example. But narrative A could potentially be AI, right? And if potentially myself, if you look at me as a respected authority, and then another person as a respected authority, maybe, it could potentially be someone else in maybe our team that's mentioned it as well, then there's kind of like a flow there for you as well, right? But to make things easy for you, like I said, my what I really do like moving into this cycle is the store of value narrative. I'll bring them back up here so you guys have them, right? The store of value narrative, the gaming narrative, the AI narrative, and the tokenization of real world asset narrative. But that's the triangulation technique. But just be aware and be cautious with these so-called crypto influencers on YouTube. 9 times out of 10, they've been found that they're just spruiking a product because they bought a bunch of it that they got for free. The price shoots up and then they dump on everyone, right? So you don't want to be doing that. So Jeff has asked a very legitimate and great question. Now, Jeff has asked, Troy, who might be some of the respected authorities to listen to then, right? Who I listen to. So thank you for asking that question, Jeff. Now, there's a particular person that I like to follow in the Bitcoin space, and I mentioned this gentleman in the book as well. And his name is Bob Loukas, right? And his surname's spelled Loukas, right? First name's Bob, second name's Lucas, Loukas. He's without a doubt an absolute respected authority for me within this particular, within the Bitcoin and crypto narrative. And there's a few other ones as well, but that's my number one go-to guy, just to be clear on that, Jeff. But like I said, you could potentially between, maybe if you see myself as one and Bob as one and someone else as one, then there's kind of like narratives going there. But like I said, store of value is the biggest thing to be really looking at here, in my opinion. So let's talk about the narrative cycle timing. Okay, so the market will be excited about multiple narratives during a bull run at different times in the cycle. Now, it's super important to realize and understand this. Okay, now once again, I just want to go over this so people have an idea. Now, this isn't, just so I'm clear, and when I share this, this isn't an absolute guaranteed way that the cycle always works. I've based these diagrams off the previous 2 to 3 cycles, and therefore history quite often tells us what we can expect in the future. Okay, history quite often tells us what we can expect in the future. Now, narrative A, narrative B, narrative C. Now, there's different time lengths that these narratives can go at, right? The timing and duration often varies for when and how long a market is excited about different narratives, right? So, as I said, there's narrative A, narrative B, and narrative C. Now, narrative A might start first, ends in the middle. Narrative B starts second, ends latest. Narrative C starts late and ends early. It could be something that shot up really quickly and ended early. Now, in regards to the market cycle and the timing of things, and we're going to learn and know more about this, and I know I shared a bit about this in the last module around cycles. Traditionally, Bitcoin is the currency, is the cryptocurrency that shoots up in value first, followed by high market cap coins is usually the next one, right? So Bitcoin is usually first, followed by high market cap coins, which is kind of like your top 20 or 30 coins, followed by the lower market cap, more speculative coins, right? So coins that are much more speculative, they're much more, they're much more, I guess you could say, risky to enter into, because the project is nowhere near as big as Bitcoin or as the other higher market cap coins that we are going over. Okay. So that's super important to know. All right. So let me just bring back here a second. So that's super important to know. Now, in regards to the different narratives, this is why when I go to the next slide, it's important that you don't stretch yourself over, for example, the 9 narratives that I shared with you. It's super important that you don't stretch yourself over those 9 narratives, because you simply can't be an expert in all the narratives. You can't be an expert in all the 9 that I shared and showed with you, right? My suggestion is to specialize in 2 to 4 of them. To start with, just specialize in one. And for the people who are brand new and are beginners, specialize, in my opinion, in store of value. Specialize in store of value, because store of value is the key fundamental aspect of Bitcoin, right? It's a store of value. It's a value that will always go up against fiat issued, paper issued currency. All right. So that's why it's super important, in my opinion, as your first narrative to learn is store of value. But like I said, you don't want to be going in too many, because it's just going to be too much to learn, too much to know, right? You're better to be an expert in a few, right? Better to be an expert in a few, and then also allocating accordingly to that. So you're better off being an expert in just, 2 or 3 or 4 at the most, in my opinion, and then allocate accordingly to that particular narratives that you're an expert in. Now, once again, if we refer back to module 3, and once again, as I said, this program is very much aimed at beginners, so we're going to be going through very simple steps here. But if we refer back to module 3, and as I spoke about there, now obviously I share my top 10 crypto picks for this upcoming bull cycle, and pretty much the top 10. I think there's 3, maybe 4 narratives in that 10, right? because once again, I cannot be an expert in all narratives. So I personally specialize in 2 to 4 of them. Now, right, the 4 that I shared and showed with you all are the 4 that I kind of specialize in. There's one particular coin that's a little bit outside of that I really like in that top 10, but that's my more speculative pick, which I shared in module 3. So once again, I'm not meaning to talk about module 3 so much. If you want to watch that module, please go back and watch it. But it's super important, in my opinion, to be an expert in a few of them and not spreading yourself too thin. Now, the same can be applied, and this is obviously why when I share my winning portfolio, I talk about only having 10 coins. The same can be applied to the amount of coins that you're in. All right. So we want to, in my opinion, be in no more than 10 different coins. It's just too ridiculously impossible, in my opinion. Look, you might be much more superhuman than me. Maybe you can do more than me. I mean, I struggle sometimes to do multiple tasks. Maybe that's a male thing. I don't know. But you know, maybe that's the case, and maybe you think, well, no, I can comfortably be on top of 12 different coins, or 15, or 20, or whatever it may be. But in my opinion, when you start to get over 10, it starts to be increasingly difficult to truly, not just kind of hang in there, but truly stay on top of them. Because that's when you can be a master of your investment, when you can truly stay on top of them. Like when we talk about particular narratives, and then people will then see those 9 narratives, and unfortunately there's nothing I can do about this, because people are going to see those 9 narratives and think in their head, I don't want to miss out on any of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to purchase coins in all those narratives, which easily is going to get you well above 10 coins. And not just that, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be buying emotionally, right? You're going to be buying emotionally. You're going to be trying to get in, through FOMO and through other things like that, fear of missing out, just so people know what FOMO is. And you're going to try to be getting into the particular coins and projects, as I said, like buying in emotionally, which is never good. If you buy emotionally into a project, you will always sell emotionally, right? Unless you're some kind of superhuman that has this incredible mental capacity that 99% of the population, the investment population, doesn't have. But I can pretty much guarantee you, if you are purchasing a coin emotionally, you are going to sell that coin emotionally, which means if that coin all of a sudden takes a sharp drop in price, you're going to panic because you didn't do your research on it. You're going to panic because you're not an expert on that topic. You're going to panic and think, oh, wow, I need to get out and get whatever money I can for this coin now, right? Because once again, you're not an expert in the topic, and you panicked and bought in. So you bought in emotionally, which 9 times out of 10 means that you will sell emotionally. Okay. So Christine asked, wish I knew the top 9 or so in that course I just bought without having to go through the whole course. So invest into ASAP. Christine, just go to module 3. If you want to, just go to module 3. And it's got the 10 coins that I have in my winning portfolio. So yeah, I'm basically telling you to do something that I advise against doing, which is not following the education first. But if you want to go purchase them, Christine, it's your money and you can do whatever you like with them. But I don't want to use you as an example here, but that is a perfect example. So your comment is, I can invest in them ASAP. And I want to get into them. I'm glad you wrote the second comment, Christine, which is invest in those 9 or so coins without having to first go through the whole course first. You know, um, you know, as I said, I would strongly recommend you go through the whole course first before you purchase anything. But like I said, I'm not the master of your money or anyone's money. So you guys can choose to do whatever you like. And that is why I shared module 3, because everyone wanted to know my top 10 coins. So therefore I shared them with everyone. So feel free to go back and watch module 3, Christine, or anyone else. And if you want to get in on any of them, you can. But if not, as I said, and you'd rather do your educational first and go through the modules first. Obviously, I know they're live sessions at the moment for people who here are live, but if you're watching the recording and you're not here live, then I would highly recommend for you to go through the modules first before purchasing any cryptocurrency, right? Regardless it be Bitcoin or anything else, in my opinion. Once again, you are the master of your own money, not me. So, as I said, this will then be able to, this will then, once you become an expert at these narratives, right, and you've honed in on 2 or 4, and you're not doing what we call, I think I mentioned before, spraying and praying over multiple different coins. I've worked with people before that have hundreds of different coins. Be honest with me, guys. Put in the chat right now if you already have crypto. Be honest with me and tell me how many cryptocurrencies you currently have in your module, in your wallet or in your hardware wallet. Tell me how many cryptos you currently have in there. All right, everyone's getting an A+ so far. Fantastic. Dougal and Billy's 2, Maureen's 3. None yet, says Dominic. That's okay. 4 for Derek. 5, 5, 5, 10. Amazing, guys. This is awesome. In my opinion, this is something that I think is an absolute is awesome, and it's an absolute no-brainer. Having under 10, in my opinion, especially if you're sticking to the winning portfolio strategy, is an absolute no-brainer and something you don't need to do. You're a little high there, Marianne's, but that's okay. It could be something you can potentially look at and look at potentially honing in and maybe cutting down on a few. But in my opinion, 10 is the highest that you should go to, because you want to be on top of them, guys, right? So if something crazy goes down, you want to be on top of it so you can either capitalize and maybe purchase more, or you can, maybe God forbid, if something absolutely crazy happened with that particular coin, maybe it's time, maybe it could be time to cut that coin out of your portfolio. But there's a lots of different thoughts and strategies behind this. But if you want to stick to the winning portfolio strategy, like I shared with you all on module 3, then that is the way to go. So the next step is to choose winning narratives. Okay, the next step is to choose winning narratives and winning crypto projects within the winning narratives. Okay, so I got that wrong. Next step is to choose winning crypto projects within winning narratives. Okay, that is the next step. Okay, because once we understand and we know, okay, what narrative that we want to be an expert in. Now, once again, I'm going to go back and really hone in on this, because I want you all to really, truly understand what I'm talking about here. When I talk about these 9 narratives, hone in on some. Now, I said if you're a beginner, start with store of value, okay? Maybe move on to gaming, AI, tokenization. Maybe you touch on some of the others and you find that, oh, wow, that's an even that's an interesting topic, and I want to go down that one as well. But like I said, stick to 2 to 4. Start with 1 if you're a beginner, master store of value first, and then build from there, right? We want to be looking at the triangulation technique to reinforce the thoughts that we have, and just know as well that there are narrative cycles within the particular narrative timing, within the particular cycles. And the market will be excited about multiple narratives during a bull run at different times in the cycle, right? And that's just how it is. And finally, like I said, you cannot be an expert in all narratives. Specialize, hone in on 2 to 4. Start with 1. Like I said, start with 1 and then really hone in on 2 to 4. Don't go going above that, because you're just not going to. I don't care how much time in the day you think you have. You're not going to be able to be an expert. All right. So the next step after that is to choose winning crypto projects that are within the winning narratives that you chose. Okay. Now, once again, if we want to keep this super simple, which I know a lot of you have shared with me that you do, then, you could quite simply watch module 3, check out the bonus module of you know, what I'm doing with my top 10 cryptos and the ones that I'm buying and that kind of thing, you know, where I'm buying it from, how easy it is to do it. And you could do that quite simply, and then just, you know, build it out from there. Maybe just dollar cost average or feed the beast, as we say, into those positions. But in my opinion, that is the way to go. Top yourself out at 10, stick to 2 to 4 narratives. Don't go over that. You'll see that in module 3, you know, I don't think there's over 4 narratives. I believe there's no more than 4 narratives in those top 10 coins, in those top 10 coins that I choose, and stick to that and hone in on that. All right. Become an expert in the chosen narrative. If you're a beginner, please, in my opinion, start with store of value. So that brings us to the end of this module, but I'm very excited because the next module is a super, super exciting one in profitable portfolio design. Okay, profitable portfolio design. It's a super interesting one. I really like it. I shouldn't say that I have favorites in the crypto Pentagon, but I must say this probably is right, because I feel that this is where the rubber really kind of hits the road and we can start connecting the pieces. We've finished our learning, we've kind of gone through the cycles, the narratives, and now we can start going into a profitable portfolio design and really capitalize on that part of it. So I'm just going to go over some questions here. Now, if I've missed your question, please just drop it in again. I feel like I got most of them, but let me just have a look here. So Christine's asked, what are memes, Troy? If it's not distracting you now, if so, something about Olympic souvenirs. So in regards to Olympic, I don't know exactly that example. Olympic souvenirs sounds more like tokenization or real world assets. Like that sounds like tokenizing an Olympic souvenir. Memes essentially, Christine, and I would advise you to go to Google and literally type in the words, what is a meme coin? And the example there is spot on. But basically what it is that it's a coin that, for want of a better word, starts as a bit of a, not a joke, but it starts as a movement, shall we say, right? And it just comes down to how many people are in that movement, to how many people can potentially win from that particular movement, right? That's essentially what a meme coin is. But a lot of the time, like Dogecoin in 2013, when it started, it literally started as a joke. Brian's asked, with elections coming in November 2024 in the USA, do you think coins would go up or down in price? So I actually don't think the election is going to have too much to do with it, Brian, in my opinion. The only time it may have a bit of an effect will be, and as you're watching these videos, maybe it's before the election or after the election. If a particular candidate is more pro crypto or pro investing, then you may find that we have a move up in the markets in the very short term. But as far as the elections are concerned, Brian, and anyone else concerned about that, that's simply not something that you need to worry about, because the cycle of Bitcoin and crypto will play out regardless of who's in. Maureen's asked, can you give an example of a good gaming coin? Absolutely, Maureen. Once you finish this live module, please go into your members area module, Maureen, in your membership area, and please go and watch module 3. I actually give a couple of examples of gaming coins in my top 10 coins there, Maureen. So please go into module 3 and I share them. Okay, yes, thank you, Dougal and Billy. I do appreciate it. I do like to take these things slow because, as I said, so thank you for understanding that I'm taking it slow and I'm doing it in a caring and educational way, because, as I said, people learn at different paces and different time frames. So I just want to ensure that everyone is getting the absolute most that they can out of this program and this course. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it, mate. Christine's asked, meme or meme games is best? If so, you want to be looking at meme coins, Christine. So coins as in COINS, meme coins. You can literally Google what is a meme coin in crypto, and it'll be pretty spot on. Thank you, Debbie. I really appreciate it. Yes, I think they're a good refresher for people even who already know most of this stuff, I believe. But yeah, it's super important to be building, I believe, on extremely solid foundations. Thank you, Gavin. Appreciate it, mate. Aaron's asked, quick question, is store of value and real world assets a bit of a cross? It's a good question, Aaron. In some cases, it would be a bit of a cross, Aaron, because a particular real world asset like a piece of real estate is a store of value, right? So in some cases it is, but we're kind of trying to focus on here, Aaron, when it comes to real world assets, trying to focus on the tokenization of those real world assets from a coin perspective, right? Whereas a store of value is essentially a store of value for a coin, which essentially is Bitcoin's the number one coin in regards to storing the value in a long-term sense, especially from an investment perspective. Awesome, Aaron. Thank you. I'm glad you understood that. Yes, thank you, Brian. Hopefully the voice does get better. It's a bit of a kiddie cold, as we call it. Just can't seem to shake it, but I feel like okay. It's just a bit croaky. But thank you, Gavin and Paul, Dominic. Appreciate it. Debbie as well. Thank you so much, guys. So, as I said, thank you all again for those who joined me live here in this session. Thank you to all of those who are watching the recording as well. It doesn't matter if you're live or if you're watching the recording. Obviously, everyone here live has the advantage of asking me whatever question they want. But even if you watch these modules, any of these modules, and you have a question, please don't sit there and dwell on the question and think, oh my goodness, I don't understand this, I don't get it, and freak out about it. Please, please, please just email our support team. All right, support@fastlaunchdigital.com. They'll get back to you within 24 hours, often a lot quicker than that, and we'll be able to help you out with whatever that question is. Okay. So please just reach out to the team. And don't, I always say to people, don't worry in silence, and don't kind of, panic in silence. Please reach out, because we don't know to help you if you simply don't tell us. All right. Someone is always there for you. Thank you, Mike and Maureen and Christine. Thank you, Manod. Thank you, Eve. Thank you, James and Eva as well, and Jeff and Marianne's. Thank you. Christine has asked, were your crypto mentors? Yeah, thank you, Christine. So I've shared this with some people in the community, and my main mentor was a gentleman by the name of Kevin Mendoza. He was probably the most knowledgeable person that I ever came across in crypto. He was an incredible human being, a completely selfless human being. Unfortunately, Kevin's no longer with us on the living earth. He's now watching us from above. But Kevin was an incredible human and an amazing mentor for me in the crypto space. I do have some other crypto mentors that I guess you could say don't know. Bob Lucas is an example, who I mentioned before. I had the pleasure of meeting Bob when he was in Sydney a couple of years ago, which was amazing. But there's several. There's a few different people. There's not a lot. There used to be several more, but over time I've kind of I guess you could say narrowed it down a little and really focused similar to the winning narrative thing, right? I've really focused on two or three people around the space who have been able to provide some incredible things. And I mean, someone else, if we're talking about from a knowledge perspective, especially within crypto, Christine, we can talk about our incredible head analysis of our program. Bagya, he's an incredible researcher of coins as well. We've got Brett Murray, who's an incredible researcher and investor in crypto. So there's several people within our team that kind of are people that I personally look up to as well, and are incredible people in the crypto space. Sandra's asked, Troy, can you buy crypto without having to buy a Hard wallet. Yeah, that's a great question, Christine. Sorry, Sandra. The answer is yes, you can do that. It just comes down to how you're looking to purchase that crypto. That's all it comes down to, Sandra. And it also comes down to what type of crypto you're looking to purchase. So, as an example, and if you go back to module 3 and you watch module 3, you will know and see that I talk on that module to Bisha, who's from the amazing crypto brokerage service known as Stormrake. And they, for example, they have a self-custody model where they can hold your crypto for you. As an educator and as someone that really champions self-custody, I never recommend that for anyone, regardless of who it is. But that is obviously an option. But primarily what I say is never keep if you buy it from an exchange, for example, never keep your coins on an exchange. Never keep your crypto on an exchange, on a centralized exchange. We've seen so many examples over history where a centralized crypto exchange has gone down, because essentially what they are is a bank, right? That's essentially what they are. So we've had that happen multiple times, and we don't want that to happen again. So I would suggest, my best suggestion on that, Sandra, is to buy yourself a crypto wallet. We're going to talk about security in the next couple of modules, and we talk about the different wallets that I personally have and that I use, hardware wallets. But I would suggest getting yourself one, because that is how you can truly ensure and keep your crypto to yourself and hold it with self-custody. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our module around narratives. Thank you all for the amazing questions. That's really, really good as well. Appreciate it, because it always adds awesome things on the end for questions that I think a lot of people may have had. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Debbie and Dougal and Billy. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Derek. Yes, looking forward to the next module. As I said, if you are here with me live, obviously that next module will be coming out as it is stated in your sessions. If you are watching this as a recording, then obviously please, once you've finished this module, go on to the next one. We often find that it's so much better if you can watch the modules in a row, and they can really start clicking and piecing together for you. All right, guys, thank you all so much again. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next module, Profitable Portfolio Design. It's bye for now.